paid for by the New World Order.
They ain't wearing Christmas.
Well, good evening. It's Monday. Welcome to the CouchCasters podcast. I apologize for the way my computer is making my appearance look in terms of it being all choppy and jumbled. I was telling Murph a second ago, apparently Surface Pro can't run one tab cleanly. Not enough space. That's what it is. That's what it is. Anyway, welcome to the show. I don't think anybody's transferred out of Bama in the last 30 seconds, so, there's a plus. Let's see. I think we've lost, several players today? A bunch of players today?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have another fourth string, player that got one catch or one carry.
Right.
In the span of 2 seasons.
Well, it's where we are in this world now.
I haven't really seen anybody too upsetting that's left yet. So a lot of the ones that have transferred aren't really surprises.
Yeah, usually it's the guys that ain't playing, don't start, think that they deserve to, be a starter and play every play, whether they've earned it or not. That's the new thing now, is make a list of demands.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
But to us, it happens across the board. So
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad y'all mentioned that, because I've been sitting here I was downstairs actually talking to my dad about this, and I was like, it only took 4 years for the sport that I love most to be ruined by the almighty dollar. So I'm pretty disappointed in that. It is depressing, and I understand, but some of the statements by these kids, Mbakwe said in his statement letter, it was a business decision. That is just such a load of crap.
Just be honest. Just be honest.
So
just be honest about it. It's like, quit with all this business decision bull crap. Just be honest. Just say, hey, I got a bag and I took it.
Yeah. You're not fooling anybody.
Everybody would respect it a lot more than the fluff. Right. It's like, just be straight about it. Quit with all the fluff and the rhetoric. Just say, hey, I got a bag and I took it.
Yeah.
That's plain and simple. Quit with all these page-long thank you statements that all these people make when they sign a free agent contract with another team, when they portal after 1 year, when they're the 6th or 7th best player at their position on a team, and then portal after a year, talking about business decisions. I mean, just be honest about it and quit with this thank you crap. If everything you said was so amazing, you wouldn't be leaving. But I can't stand that on the way out the door. Let me pin a page-long thank you to the city I'm quitting on. I can't stand that. And this same deal, let me go on Instagram and make a post about thanking Bama for everything they gave to me as I quit on the team and walk out the door for a bag grab. Just be honest about it.
Unfortunately, this is the age we're living in now. And as Hunter kind of pointed out earlier, he said, it's happening across the board, not just us. And we just happen to be Bama fans, and we're, it's hard for me not to get so irritated with it, also keeping it in check, and I promise I will not lose it tonight on that, just for everybody's sanity. It's not right. There is nothing as far as having obligations to do anything. Commitment that's out the door. What commitment? You're committing to me for this amount of money, and then you got to come up next year? Be like, yeah, but this team offered me double. That commitment thing. I'm committed to them now because they're going to pay me more. If my thing is this, if you and Jeff, you and I have talked about this prior to this, we do see player unions coming down the stretch for college football athletics. I think that. I think Jeff does too. And then they're gonna have to be contracts, legally binding contracts, where you, in my opinion, you have to, when you commit to a school and you sign with them, you were there for 2 years. And if 2 years, if you cannot, nothing changes, go ahead and get in the transfer portal. And the other thing about the portal, I'm tired of seeing all these players who've been in college football for 7 years. I get it with the COVID situation, but the unlimited transfer portals, that is a farce, and it has destroyed the game. And people are going to be coming at me, well, Bama benefited from having so many 5-stars. I was like, yes. Yeah, we probably did. I'm not going to say that we didn't. But guess what? You can't tell me that this is good. The football that I saw this year, overall as a whole, was not very good. There's not a dominant.
What just happened to Marshall? They're having to opt out of their bowl game because they don't have any players.
25 players jumping in the transfer portal. Thanks for the commitment, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No loyalty.
What's commitment?
That. And everybody's like, tampering. Oh, you know what? Yeah, there's probably rules against it, but the NCAA ain't going to do anything about it. And
they can't.
Sure no, nobody can do anything about it. It's just a word. I think Fonzie had stated that when we talked with him earlier. It's just a word. Just speak of him. There he is.
Sorry,
I mean, you can guess what we're discussing here, Fonz.
NIL.
I'm just wondering if anybody had portaled since the show started.
Think we're good. Was eating dinner. Checked, refreshed my feed. Didn't see any new faces, but thinking around 7:45 we might see another one.
That sounds about right. I don't know. They jumping ship quick. I don't know if this is planned. I don't know. I don't know what Courtney Morgan's doing up there while all these players are leaving and we're hosting mid-major transfers on visits. I don't know.
I don't know anymore.
I mean,
I think there's a plan, but DeBoer and Morgan don't look very good today.
It's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's easy.
Yes.
Think the world's burning when all these big names leave, but happens to every team, everywhere, all the time. You just got to do better than, most. You just got to replace the talent you lose. And
true.
We did it last year.
I will say that none of these portals shock me other than Waaaay and Caleb Odom. I thought Odom would at least try the offense with a real quarterback and not just quit after a year. But, they don't have time to wait a year. They got to quit now. They got to get the bag now. They can't wait for a system in place and a real quarterback. Can't do it.
Well, we only used 2 wide receivers the whole season, so.
That's more of a quarterback situation, I believe. But also, I don't think the receivers were that good. As a whole, as a group, they were largely ineffective outside of 2. Now, I don't know if that's many factors, play calls, the guy pulling the trigger, staring, only focusing on 2 or 3 receivers and, not giving the play time to develop. The offensive line can't block long enough for the play to develop. Could be a number of factors that factor into that, but these receivers leaving after 1 year really surprises me because I was like, they'll at least play a season in a real offense and then decide. But no, can't do that. Can't wait. Give it to him now. Give him everything now. All of it now.
Yeah. Scott made a good point in that group chat where, and unless you're a stud, it really doesn't make sense for you to keep transferring back and forth. Like,
not at receiver. Yeah. Like E-Man, for example. He's waited his turn. He was the 3 going into next year, almost guaranteed.
I don't blame him.
Still have to earn it.
I don't blame him.
We went and got a great receiver from Miami who's younger, bigger, fits a different role than the guys we currently have. So he probably lost snaps. He probably knew that. I kind of agree with his decision in that case. He's playing for the NFL. He's a very talented player. He hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities here. But guys like K-Law and Prentice, they didn't do the most with the opportunities they did get. So is it going to be any different elsewhere? You got to go perform, and you haven't proved much to this point.
Yeah.
A little confused by it. That's all. They have the right to make that decision. That's how it is now, but I don't know.
Honestly, I think it's the instant gratification thing. It's the instant, I take the money now because some of these guys, I think they know they're not going to play outside after college. And so they're taking the bag now because they know they're not going to make it outside of college. Now, Bach, I don't know. Bach apparently is getting the bag offer from Ole Miss, even though he wasn't in the portal. But hey, what's tampering? Who cares? NCAA has no power anymore. So these teams do whatever they want, whenever they want, whether you're in the portal or not. They're calling you, offering you bags, working out negotiations, even if you're not in the portal. And then once you agree on the number, like we just saw today, then you're in the portal. I mean, the story was out, the money was out, the figures were out 2 hours before Bach announced that he was in the portal.
Yeah.
So it's like, your deal is public. So that's what I was telling before you got in, Fonzie. I was like, just all these thank you statements that these players do when they sign a new contract in free agency, or if they portal out to another school, like save them. Like I don't want to hear all the thank yous and how wonderful the city is or the team is that you're quitting on and leaving. Just be honest. I just want them to come out and say, hey, I got a bag and I took it.
Yeah, I got more money to go somewhere else.
I got more money to go to Ole Miss and I took it.
I'd respect that a lot more. I agree.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
They claim it happens with every school too. Right. They preach like, I'm a Tiger for life if they transfer from LSU. Or
yes.
Roll Tide one last time. And it's like, stop.
Always Bama forever. I love my Bama fam, but I'm leaving.
Yeah, and that's fine. I do not blame him.
Me either.
For going and taking $1 million.
I would do the same thing.
But I will say this. I think, back to what I was saying with the receivers, he's a guy that struggled this year making that transition.
Yeah.
If it's true and it's Ole Miss, or it may not be Ole Miss for all we know, but whatever program made this offer and guaranteed that he's a starter next year.
Yes.
Is he going to develop?
He didn't develop
Probably
this year.
Not. I saw one Ole Miss fan mention Trey Amos. Trey Amos was already developed. He had a draft.
He was going to start this year.
Went to Alabama. Yeah. I mean, he was an NFL prospect when he transferred to Alabama, and then even better one when he transferred to Ole Miss. He was a developed college cornerback. And Waaaay has a long way to go to reach his potential. And he has a ton of potential. He's a freak athlete. I mean, can be a really good player in the SEC, but it just seems like a mistake outside of the money. I don't know if taking $1 million is really ever a mistake, but anyway.
Well, once you pay your taxes and all that stuff, it's really not $1 million. And then,
that is true.
If you're 17 and handed $500,000, you're pissing it away in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've got all these great money managers that only have your interest at heart, which, let's be honest, most don't. So it's just weird. I thought Bach was playing out of position all year anyway. You could tell he was not a good cornerback, not physical enough, couldn't track the ball very well, got cooked several times, but I always thought it's because he was in the wrong position. He was much better on offense with the ball in his hand in high school, but I'm just a guy sitting on my couch with an opinion. But that was shot. But E-Man doesn't surprise me as much because, he came into Bama as the top-rated running back in the class, and they immediately put him at receiver before he even got his bags unpacked, and then he never got on the field except for a flash play here and there. So, that doesn't shock me at all that you arrive at Alabama as the top running back and you're immediately moved to receiver, and then you can't work your way up the depth chart in 3 years, which is Receiver's tough position to play if you're a running back coming in to college.
There's a ton of competition there too.
Yeah, right. And it's hard to be a running back and then suddenly have to learn the route tree and little nuances to playing receiver. It's not just running 10 yards, button hook, and catch a ball. There's a ton of other things that go into playing receiver. It's a hard position to learn.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
Go ahead, Fonzie. Go ahead, Parker. You were going to say something earlier.
Sorry, it was buffering a little bit. What'd you say just there? Sorry.
I said, it looked like you had something to say earlier, and then we kept cutting you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think we've all came to the same conclusion on a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree with Classy here.
I
make
agree.
some moves.
I don't.
Now, some moves might be being waited till the playoffs are over.
And Jeff, you and I talked about that. I was like, I think that's kind of unknown, kind of keeping it off the radar. There are certain players that we are looking at and have they are interested in us that are that are currently teams in the playoffs. I don't know who they are. Some of y'all might know them. I don't. But like kind of what Fonzie, what you said, the guy from Miami that's gone into the portal, and it looks like we may get him. I don't know. I don't know if it's official yet that he has signed the papers, but I really don't know, guys. Something's got to give. Something's got to give with all this stuff.
But you can't push this toothpaste back in the tube. This is what Saban was warning about.
You've already made this error, and that's the thing is now get it, get a handle on it, put a limit on it, and everybody's going to moan and groan. Well, you're not going to be able to put too much of a cap on it, but you can at least, get this back inside the ring to where it's manageable for, because there's teams like Marshall, Wake Forest, who they're going to get left in dust because they can't keep up with the recruiting and what it needs to do as far as paying these players. So these smaller schools are going to be picked up of all their top talent, and it sucks. It really does suck.
There's no solution because they didn't have one in place when the levees broke, for lack of a better term. And it's like,
they just let it go. They just let the river wide open.
Nobody cares about what the NCAA thinks anymore, so they can't just roll in here and go, "Hey, okay, starting now, we're going to do this." Everybody be like, "We don't care what you think anymore."
I don't even know.
You made yourself irrelevant by making all this legal, all up front, all no restrictions. This is just...
They should all have agents. It's part of the problem.
Most of them do.
They don't have agents. But it's just for NIL from what I understand.
Representation, yeah.
They don't have a full-on agent doing their bidding where you can directly contact the players. And I think that's where a lot of this trouble comes from.
Yep.
My whole thing was this. Of course, we knew when this all started out that name, image, and likeness was most likely going to turn into something that we were all going to dread. We just, we were hoping and praying that it didn't, but it ended up happening. I think it obviously now it's like a pay for play. No, it is a pay for play. It's not like it is. It needs to be based on the individual themselves, such as marketing campaigns on advertisements and whatnot. Has nothing that should not have anything to do with, because you want to perform on the field. All right, go out and prove it. Then you can make more money off your name, image, and likeness. People have done that for years, but this pay for play stuff, and I know that it happened. We all know that it happened under the table for many years through all the top colleges. We know this happened. If you don't believe it, take a long look in the mirror because it happened, even at Alabama. Whether we'll never admit it, there's it'd take a long way to go down that road to find the evidence of it. I'm not saying that they, did it all the time, but yeah, everybody did it. So it's just. It's driving me up a wall because it takes the integrity of the game, and not just the integrity, but the philosophy of it, what it meant. Just going out there playing for the school that you love, that you always dreamed about going to, and also becoming the best player that you could be. Now, 17, 18-year-old kids are out there as kind of Scott said, and I think Hunter relayed on said some on this too. How could any of us, if we were 17, 18 years old again, if someone dropped me a bag for $1 million, I'd be very hard pressed to not accept it at 17, 18 years old. I can't disagree with it. Does it piss me off that this is happening? Yes, but I'm not gonna say that I don't understand why they're doing it. But then again, we're all coming from times where we saw it was just players that really loved their school, or it seemed to be that they loved their school. They would do anything for their school, and now it sucks. It just
every
sucks.
year. It's okay. Every year, every single year is 1 year contract. All these guys in the class for this year, half of them we'll have to re-recruit next year.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And like I said earlier, eventually, I don't know when, I don't know who would have authority of this. There's no authority figure in this poop show. There's nobody, there's no commissioner, there's no head of any committee anywhere that's a spokesperson for this almost. It's like there's no leadership structure in it. And eventually you're going to have a union, a players union. You're going to have some sort of luxury tax or salary cap to prevent Texas from just buying every 5-star player in the country, which is what's going to happen. Justice Terry never said Texas once. His whole recruitment signing day shows up, signs with Texas. At least that I heard. He was Georgia, USC, Bama, decommit USC, decommit Georgia, Bama, 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 Bama. Could be Georgia, Bama, Bama, Texas on signing day. Why? Because he was just waiting. How much? Yep.
Bidding war.
Okay, got it. Signing with Texas. That's how it's going to be. Oregon and Texas are going to have more money than anybody, and they're going to use it to their advantage. And there's no salary cap, or there's no tax threshold like baseball has. There's nothing. There's nothing to prevent Texas from spending $500 million next year on players. There's not a single thing in place to prevent that.
Nope. Just the resources. I mean, they can spend as much as they want as long as they have it.
It's like
crazy.
The Mets owner. You know, there's a luxury threshold in baseball, but he doesn't care.
No.
He's like, I don't care.
It.
Yeah, because he can afford it. Fonzie, you're exactly right. And then he said, well, the Mets can't afford it. And he said, well, I can. How much? You know, he's going into his pocket and stuff. So, I mean, if you got the money, you're going to spend it. There's no penalty. There's there's nothing in college ball. So the money will win out in the end. And you're going to see Texas and Oregon every year with the best players in recruiting and the best players in the portal because they got more money than anybody else.
Yeah, yep. I think college football as a whole almost has a bit of an identity problem where Coach Saban calls it protecting the product. You know, college football is the product, and they very much want to bring it to this national audience, and they have. And you see the money that it generates. Yet, both the NCAA or when it comes to NIL, the playoffs, they're afraid to basically do what it takes to protect the product with regulations and contracts, and admitting, okay, nobody wants to see Boise State or some random school from the Sun Belt in the playoffs over this team that's rewarding the strength of schedule. Otherwise, what's the point? There's just so many things that need to be corrected, and I just don't know who is to do it.
Everything was made irrelevant this year. The 7 weeks of the college football playoff poll, that ridiculous waste of an hour or however long they do on TV every week, every Tuesday, with 8 weeks left in the season, and they start the stupid playoff poll rankings. Then they get all the way to the end. Where's Bama ranked? 11th in the final college football poll rankings. And then we don't make the playoffs, even though we finished 11th in the rankings. So what does that mean for the rankings? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you're out. Scholarship offers, scholarship signees, zilch means zip. You can walk out 3 games in if you want. Jaheim Otis said, I'm not good enough to play. I quit. You know, this whole take a red shirt the rest of the year and quit on my team thing. You know, all it'll take is the school cutting their scholarship and kicking them out of housing, and then they'll stop all that. Let me red shirt the rest of the year crap. If you're going to quit on the team and red shirt, then you don't get housing. You don't get your classes paid for. You quit. You quit. If you quit, then you quit.
It's the same thing like having a job out there in the real world. What happens when you leave a job? That job, that company is not going to pay your insurance and pay your salary anymore. You left them. You quit. You're gone.
You quit. So
why should I? My God.
I'm saying there's no one-time transfer. There are guys in the portal 5-6 years in a row. TJ Finley is about to play for his 5th school in 5 years. But you can only enter the portal once. Like, what are we doing here?
Ruin the game. Just ruin the game.
I mean, it's
been ruined for a while, honestly. Like,
I'd say
this is anecdotal, but I used to watch just random Mountain West games.
Same.
10 o'clock at night, or throw on a Pac-12 game. I would watch from 11 to 1 a.m. Every Saturday. I just don't have the interest anymore to do that because it's honestly, why does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, with the new format, I think the format sucks. I think
it's
NIL, transfer portal, everything involved with that sucks as well. People keep saying viewership's up. I don't think that's wrong. It's probably true. I'm sure I could look it up and see. I'm sure it's higher than ever, as high as it's been. But people care about players now. It's like the NFL. You know?
Exactly. Bingo.
I think the NFL is a better product right now because those guys put their heart on the line every week still.
Yes.
I don't see the same passion from these players.
Except from the 49ers linebacker last week. The guy quit in the third quarter. I'm still
different situation.
Check him for CTE. If you just walk off the field in the middle of the game, you might need to check for CTE if you just randomly decide you're out.
But just even Colorado, for example, I think Colorado is a great example of this. They were the lowest of the low. They had a great year this year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a huge fan base. They don't have a huge national audience, but I guarantee you their viewership was insane this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of Travis, Hunter, and Shador.
Yeah.
And Dion to an extent. But that's what pulls people in now. You know?
Yep. You said it.
Sure
top teams playing each other love it.
North Carolina.
You know, people
the minor leagues of the NFL.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
It's crazy.
They've wanted to distance themselves from the NFL for so many years to suddenly be exactly parallel with it, except there's no rules in college. It's all the same stuff, but there's no rules. It's the NFL with no rules.
It's the Wild West.
Because there's nobody in charge. There's no Roger Goodell, and I don't agree with everything Goodell's ever done, but there's no question who the boss of the NFL is.
And at least there's structure. There's structure, a foundation.
Now, again, Rob Manfred is a bumbling idiot, but he is the boss of baseball, unfortunately. But still, there's no question who is the boss of Major League Baseball.
You don't like the golden bat rule he's proposing?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
he lost me with the extra inning runner on second rule. That's where I knew he was useless.
He's lost me like 4 times in the past 5 years, but I still pay my $150 to watch the Pirates have 2 good months every year. So.
Oh, you on the MLB TV single team package?
No, I pay for the full one because after about July, I have to latch on to another team.
We need to talk offline about that, and then we can, because I do that too. So we need to talk offline about splitting it 3 ways. I got 2 other guys that want to do that this year too. So
I'm willing to chip in too. I'm tired of going to the bar to watch the Braves.
Well, MLB TV can't watch the Braves because they're Bally's, and bankrupt Bally's, is literally the only channel you can watch Braves unless they're on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yes.
That is the only. Even if you pay for MLB, it's all blacked out. It's all restricted out.
That's what pissed me up. Okay. Because I bought the package, the super deluxe, and then it still was like, nope, you're blacked out for the whole season.
Bingo. It's all regional, still regional blackouts.
Okay, well that explains it then. Okay.
Who used to broadcast the Braves before Bally? Was it Fox Sports South?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
It was TBS for years and Fox Sports South. And then whatever this Bally's thing, which I don't understand. How can you be bankrupt and still have exclusive MLB regional broadcast rights? I don't understand that, but whatever. So yeah, but yeah, we can talk offline about that, Fonz, because I've been getting the Yankees package the last several years, but since the Pirates got Skeens, I want to get the whole thing so I can watch Skeens pitch.
It's worth it. Just throw some games on, but
yeah,
you're not desperate to latch on to a Cinderella every year. So
true.
But one day my team will be the Cinderella. So
Hopefully
coming, before
Fonzie.
I die.
It's coming. Don't you worry. It's around the corner.
They made the right move, though, not re-signing Brian De La Cruz. That was a big move to improve the team.
My God.
Mike.
Although the Braves signed him, so...
Sure did.
Yeah, they probably signed him to like a spring training invite in the minor league.
Invite.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You go play for the Gwinnett Stripers or something.
yeah, he was our cleanup hitter. So
Ooh. Ouch. I think he had 8 home runs last year, I think. Or
we had 21.
21. Okay.
He put together a nice little season with Miami, and then once we got him, his strikeout rate was like, oh God, 35% or something.
Oh,
it was.
Woo.
And he had like 4 walks. I mean, he was striking out more than he was putting the ball in play. It was nuts. At least it seemed. But anyway, he's no longer a Pirate.
I was going to get the full on deal so I could at least watch the Skeens starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be fun to watch. Unless he plays the Yankees. Oh, they had like 2 losses last year. Only gave up a run in like 7 innings, and he lost twice. I think only gave up no runs or 1 run, and lost both times. It's like, oh God.
Oh man, his first or second start,
That's brutal.
He struggled a little bit, but he put in a good start, and then our bullpen came in and we walked the bases loaded and then walked home 2 or 3 runs.
I remember
he had like
game.
a 0 ERA, but then he finished the game with like a 4.50 because
what's his name came in because he left the bases loaded or something, and the guy he brought in let all 3 runs score, and then walked 2 more, and then gave up another home run, and then in the inning it was like 8-3, and when they took Skeens out, it was 3-zip.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
That was awful. Anyway, we're sidetracking, but yeah. So anyway, we'll talk offline about that, but I'm getting the full package for every team next year, so not to watch Met games, that's for sure. But yeah, now that's one thing Manfred has said is that, or I've seen that he's trying to get rid of the regional broadcast, or I read something about where there's some buzz about finally getting rid of that. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but.
I mean, shoot,
especially
if the NHL does ESPN Plus, you get to watch wherever you want.
And just pick on whatever game you want. That's the beauty of paying for the service.
That's the big problem with MLB is all these companies own their rights to these markets. So it's like, it's not like Rob Manfred can really do anything.
There's
NHL is
something
the same way. NHL is more restrictive in some ways. I know.
Oh, really?
People in Arizona are blacked out from the Utah games, which is their team. I mean, Arizona just moved to Utah this year. They're having trouble getting the games, and they're not eligible to sign up for like the streaming package.
God.
So they literally can't watch the team. It's crazy.
They're trying to grow these sports, and they're putting all these restrictions everywhere where you can't watch them. Like, what are we doing here? I don't understand it.
It's greed.
But this Bally's thing is chicken bleep. And then Bally's isn't on YouTube TV. They're not on any of the cable deals. So you have to like download the app, and then you got to find somebody with a Spectrum login, then to log into Bally's with somebody's Spectrum login, because that's the only cable company you can watch Bally's on is Spectrum. I mean, golly, man. Went from the Braves, you go watch every game they played all year between either TBS or Fox Sports Net back in the day or Fox, FS1, whatever. And, and then suddenly nobody can watch them anywhere.
Or you have to have a guide to figure out how to watch the game or something. It's like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. And I don't understand. I don't like when football does it. When you turn on CBS and you have to watch the Titans play the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh. I mean, that's why I got Sunday ticket this year, because I didn't want to get stuck watching the Falcons and Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Thuggins.
I mean,
Kirk
Cousins
the same
more
way.
like it. Yeah.
I mean, I get the Titans, but it's all the regional. It's like Titans, Saints, Falcons.
Same three, Dolphins. Same three every week.
I get the Steelers if they played Baltimore or another big time opponent. 90% of the time I was watching slop.
Well, my cousin, my cousin Mike, Big Mike, he lives in Reading, which is right outside of Philly, and the Steelers games are never on. He never gets Steeler games. They're always blacked out, and mainly because they run Eagles games. No matter what, the Eagles are on TV, and if they're on a different time slot, they run a replay of the Eagles game.
Oh, weird.
Not really, but that's what it's like. He's like, we can't watch any games. It's Eagles or bust, and if the Eagles aren't on, they'll show a replay of a previous Eagles game. He's like, out here they can't. It's all Eagles. That's it. They don't care about any other game. They don't televise any other game. Pittsburgh's 4 hours across the state. They ain't televising nothing.
Yeah, that's insane.
So so a lot of times I'll call him with the Steeler game on, and I'll have to play by play to him on the phone because he can't watch it unless they cut to the game at the end or something. Or like yesterday, they cut away from the game after Tomlin punted on the Eagles side of the field down 10 with 7 minutes left and never got the ball back. That's another soapbox.
Tough one.
Much as I love me some Mike Tomlin most of the time, he's might be one of the worst in-game coaches I've ever seen.
He has his moments. He makes some awesome decisions. I think his personnel management is usually pretty good, but when it comes to that stuff, he knows how to lose a game.
Awful.
He knows how to get his team to win a game,
bingo.
But he knows how to lose a game.
He can lose a game with the best of them. And that display yesterday was pathetic. I mean, I think we had 11 yards at halftime. You heard me right. 11. In 2 quarters of football, we had 11 yards. We ran 8 plays in the first half. Second half, I think we ran less because they had the ball the whole third quarter. And then that Najee fumble was just crucial. I mean, that killed any shot we had. But the defense couldn't get off the field in the second half. I mean, the Eagles had the ball for like 17 of the 20 minutes or something of the 30 minutes, whatever, 2 50-minute quarters, right? So they had the ball like 22 minutes of the 30 in the second half. I mean, it's some silly.
I mean, we
ridiculous.
ran.
Have we heard on anything about
in the second half?
Have we heard anything on TJ Watt? How bad the injury was?
It's a low ankle sprain.
Ankle sprain.
Dude, I was thinking that was Achilles.
So
the way he limped off and Watt was walking, I was like, that's Achilles. He's out. It's over.
It felt like he was looked like when he was when I saw the replay when he went down, it looked like he was grabbing like the front of his ankle versus like the back. But again,
okay.
I was
that's good.
That's when I was watching that. I was like, that's not an ACL. Definitely, I was sitting there with Dad, and we're like, that's Achilles or low ankle sprain, something broken in the ankle. It looked like it didn't. He kind of like it wasn't even like he got hit. It was just the placement when he put his foot down.
He was dominating that game too. I mean, I think he had 2 sacks, a forced fumble. Should have had 2. Somehow Jalen Hurts hung onto the ball in that second sack. I don't know how he held on to it, but I should have had 2 forced fumbles. I mean, he was wrecking that game yesterday. But right on cue, we got 3 games in 11 days against Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs in 11 days. Ooh. They gave the Steelers.
Oh, yep. Oh, that is like brutal. Good God.
3 games, 11 days against Eagles, 12-2, Ravens, who are a game and a half behind us now in the North, and Chiefs, who have won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and they're the luckiest team in football, and they haven't given up 20 points in like 35 games, whatever that crazy stat is. And Mahomes is awful this year, and they're 13-1. So whatever. And so we got to play them in Game 3, Day 11. So we got 2 Thursday night games, a Wednesday game, a Saturday game, 3 games, 11 days this year. I mean, they really ran a gauntlet on the Steelers this year.
Well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that's just what I was going to say. I don't know if y'all watched the new Hard Knocks that came out. That was all in the AFC North, but it really does put a spotlight about how competitive that division is.
It's the rivalries that drive it. I mean, to be honest, the Bengals and Browns mostly suck year to year.
Yeah. Even then, the Browns completely pull something out.
It's been very competitive recently. Both the Bengals and the Browns have been super, super good. But
the Bengals have flashes. I don't see how they're 6-8 with that offense. I mean, their defense can't stop a nosebleed. But
it's terrible. Taylor's not a good coach.
Same with the Ravens.
But watching Burrow and Chase just carve teams up and then lose like 42-38, or 45-42.
I was at the game yesterday. The Bengals.
Oh, okay.
It's like, oh my god. I mean, it's just excuse my language, it's a shit fest. Both those teams are just like sloppy as hell.
I mean, Will Levis was so bad. Will Levis was so bad they put Mason Rudolph in, who was even worse, if that's possible to say.
Oh, they were actually moving the ball. I'll give them that. With Mason in there.
Okay.
They're moving the ball a little bit, but
I mean, Levis was brutal. And then he got in a fight with somebody when Trey Hendrickson blocked him on that one pick. Hendrickson launched him 10 yards out of bounds, and he got up wanting to fight somebody.
It was kind of a cheap shot, for being honest.
It was. But they should have flagged Will Levis for receiving the hit. Like the Steelers got 2 personal fouls for getting punched yesterday.
Oh, that was wild.
Yep.
And the ref goes, "No, we didn't see any replays showed any Eagles showing punches." And then they show it on TV, and you see like 5 Eagles just throwing haymakers in this thing.
That's when the game went downhill, honestly.
Yeah.
That was such a gut punch.
I mean, it was first and goal from the 3, wound up first and goal from the 20, and of course we're kicking a field goal. If you put us on the 20, we're not scoring.
Who was the guy?
It's field goal city.
Darius Slay all the way to the bleachers.
Yeah, that was Darnell Washington.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Washington tight end.
Yeah.
Yes,
blocked him all the way up into the bleachers, and then Slay swung at him, and then the other Eagles guy came in and took a swing at him, and Calvin Austin shoved the Eagles guy, and they penalized Washington and Calvin Austin, and the Eagles got nothing. Wasn't even offsetting. Their guys throwing punches for about a good 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and they come out and go, "No Eagles did anything wrong. All the Steelers. It was all Steelers." And we wound up first and goal in the 3 to second and goal from the 20, and we're screwed. I mean, that was one of the worst offensively called games I've seen yesterday. It was just awful.
Darnell sent Darius Slay to the shadow realm on that one. He just kept on pushing him, and it was like
it wasn't a cheap
it was
play.
Hilarious.
The play was behind him, so Washington's just blocking his man through the end zone. And then the Eagles started fighting, and then we got penalized twice for it.
That's what you get in Philly, though. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yep.
You can't explain it. Yeah. And the refs knew exactly what they were doing. They ain't trying to leave Philly making calls like that in a game like that. They're not stupid. They're like, I want to get out of here in one piece. So, yeah, that was all Pittsburgh. That was all the Steelers. Absolutely. And then the play where, what's his name, punched our long snapper in the head, and they said, no. It was after the punt.
Yeah,
and in the replay of him punching, you can see the ball fly after he hit him. And they said, no, it was after the punt. So the Eagles get to keep the ball. We'll just penalize them 15 yards. And then they ran 2 plays, got the first down, and negated the whole thing and went down the field and scored. But and then we get called for getting blocked into the center. We get called for roughing the long snapper. They showed the replay, and the guy gets blocked into the long snapper. And they said, nope, roughing on the Steelers, 15-yard first down.
How pissed off is your cousin Mike about all that? Does he have any antics from this weekend?
I wasn't on the phone with him yesterday, but had I been on the phone with him yesterday, he probably would have had an aneurysm. He gets wound, and then his wife fusses at him. And, I'm like, you've been married for 30 years. Up? No, like, you've been married for 30 years. Mike acts like this every Steeler game, and you get mad at him every week. You get mad at him. She comes down, what are you yelling at? I'm like, he's been doing this for 25 years. Every Sunday during the NFL season for 25 years. And every Sunday she comes down and goes, what is all the yelling about? You know him by now. This isn't like you've been married for 2 weeks and you're like, hey, I never saw this side of you. You knew that this clue.
He just became like this.
That wasn't a season-shaping loss. I mean, like we said, Tomlin can lose games with the best of them to even the worst teams. He'll go out and look like a 1-12 team at any given week. Usually it's the playoffs, and then the Rooney's give him an extension and ho-hum it off, because the goalpost has been moved. But 10-4, still leading the North, but games like that don't encourage me because I've seen Tomlin teams look like that far too often, especially in playoff games. They come out and look like they aren't even close to being ready to play, and then we're down by 2 or 3 scores in the first half.
I mean, it's just tough without Pickens and Sean Elliott too. Minka hasn't played that well this year. We were due for a true dud,
Well, and Porter got exposed a little yesterday. AJ Brown's a stud. But, we don't really have anybody that can one-on-one him all game. So putting JPJ on him alone several times. I mean, A.J. Brown's going to win against really anybody. Maybe Surtain, the only one that Mike could lock him down, or Sauce Gardner. But A.J. Brown's a stud. And if you're not elite and you leave somebody on an island against him, chances are he's going to get you.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
The NFL scheduling is just awful. So it sucks because we can't really afford to lose many games down the stretch. And after the bye, they just loaded us up. It's division opponents: Washington, Philly, Kansas City.
Chiefs. Of course, we have to play the Chiefs every year. When the New England was dominating, we had to play the Patriots every year. If you remember that, when the Patriots were in the peak of their dynasty, every year we have to play the Patriots.
Yep.
I mean, every year it seemed like. And I'm like, again, we got to play Brady and the Patriots. Again. Now it's the Chiefs. Every year, the Chiefs. Got to play the Chiefs every year.
And the game will come down to one play. That
will favor the Chiefs, unfortunately. Somehow, some way.
Their luck this year is just insanity. I don't get. I've never seen anything like it. I think they've had 7 wins on the last possession. Or they've won 6 games. 6 of their 7 one-possession wins were the last possession.
Yeah, this weekend was the first time they won by more than one touchdown
score.
Some may call that luck, though. Some may call that luck. Some may call it tampering.
Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Oh, gotta love the NFL. Gotta love it.
But we get 2 versions of it now because we're looking at NFL with no rules and then NFL with structure. And you're seeing the difference.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
But
I would like to say one thing: a big Bama win this weekend over our rival, apparently in basketball, Creighton. Very nice win there. Did see? We still haven't seen a couple players play due to some lingering injuries. Did Chris Youngblood end up play this weekend? Did he end up playing?
He did play.
Okay.
He did.
I heard because I didn't get to see really any sporting events this weekend. Currently moving, obviously, but no, very, very happy with that because they are like a thorn in our side in basketball. It's like every time we got to play Creighton. Oh, it's going to be a nail biter. I'm like, come on, can it be like? Okay, I'd understand if it was Gonzaga, but Creighton's got our number. But we got the win.
We played really bad Saturday. I mean, we got the win. It was a tough win, a grind out win, but we did not play well at all. We shot terribly. I think we shot 16% from 3 for the game or something. Sears had 27, but Jaron Stevenson, 0 points, didn't make a single shot. One shot, he airballed so bad it hit the side of the backboard. And I was like, that looks like, me trying to hit a fadeaway in the local YMCA gym. I mean, we did not play well. A lot of sloppy play. We got up 17 and immediately let him cut it down to 6. That seems to be a characteristic of this team so far this year, is get a big lead and then, go cold. And next thing you know, we're only up by 4 or 6, it's a 1 or, single digits. And it was a tough game, but, we got to win. We've had to win a couple of those games this year. We hadn't shot well. That's the only thing I'll say about Nate's offense is, it's reliant on the 3-pointer, and we haven't had that elite shooter yet. We're getting a lot of good players, but we're not getting elite shooters.
Yeah, we were 20% for the 3 points.
Or maybe they are elite shooters coming out of high school, and then they go Sam Walters and, can't play at this level and wind up at Michigan. And Sam had flashes, but, he was largely inconsistent.
Yep.
In terms of shooting the ball. And I don't know if we have how many pure shooters. Reitzel, but of course he's gone for the year. And we lost him for a huge stretch last year, and that hurt. We got guys that show flashes, but we don't have any consistent shooters. We're putting up 30, 40 threes a game, but we're missing a lot of them.
We are. Honestly, I'll take a win over Creighton. I know they're not having the best year, but
that's
the one thing
win.
I will say,
it was a tough game.
I probably watched about half the game. And it was messy and sloppy, and we weren't hitting our shots, and we were having trouble getting high quality shots, I thought, for portions of that game. But Mark Sears had a pretty good game. And we've needed that. He's kind of, I think it's largely been overblown, but he's kind of struggled at times this year.
Yeah.
Even though the stat line doesn't indicate it, he's had some duds or rough games, but I thought he played well Saturday.
What was the one game where he didn't score at all? It was during the ACC conference.
Illinois.
Because we scored 94 that game or 97 that game or something, and he didn't have any points.
Yeah, crazy.
Notoriously slow starter. That's my only complaint with Sears, that he waits too long to get involved in the game. Passes up a lot of shots early, trying to get other people involved, which I understand why he's doing that. But at the same time, it's like you need to get that. You need to get some Steph Curry in you, where if you get the ball and there's even a sliver of an opening, it's going up. If you give Steph Curry a blink, the ball's going up. And Sears passes up many shots I think he could get off, trying to make that extra pass or get people involved. And but he had a really good game. He really struggles at the end of halves. If you'll notice, at the end of halves, if we have the ball, it's either a turnover, a block shot, or he didn't get the shot off. I don't know if it's because he waits till there's doesn't give himself enough time, or he does the Westbrook where he goes, drives, jumps in the air, and then doesn't know what he's going to do when he gets in the air, and ends up having to try to put up a shot that gets blocked, or pass somewhere he thinks somebody's going to be, or just have to get rid of the ball somehow. So I noticed that tends to happen, but it's usually on the end of the half. He's pretty solid at the end of games. Then he steps to the line and hits clutch free throws. But the end of the halves are it's almost like we don't really have a plan. Like we come up the court and it's like, street ball, just get a shot off, and then it never seems to get a shot off. But it is. So anyway, but we had tough non-conference. I think our first conference game is January the 4th, I believe, or 5th.
Yes.
Remember what Saturday that is?
Is it Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
Do we play?
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Me and my son are going to that game.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That was the only game there were tickets available for.
Be a good one.
When I went online to buy tickets, that's the only SEC game that there were still tickets left. And that was a month and a half ago. I mean, that was 6 weeks ago when I bought those tickets. But that was the only game they had left.
SEC schools.
Yeah, is there no Big 12 challenge right in the middle of the SEC season this year?
No.
Probably not, because the Big 12's been two biggest brands have moved to the SEC.
True. That's true.
And they have so many new teams that they probably don't really want to subject Utah to playing Kentucky or something. But
shout out to Kentucky. They had a quick start.
Yeah, they're looking good.
With literally 11 or 13 new players on the roster. I don't think there's a single player on the roster that was on the team last year. I think his whole team was built through the portal.
That's crazy.
And I mean, maybe signing. I think it maybe signed a couple guys coming in, but I think the majority of the team is built strictly through the portal. Because the whole team left for Arkansas when Cal went to Arkansas. Anybody that was sticking around for another year went to Arkansas with him. So that's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But
so
we got to
pretty good too.
Yeah,
but
they are. Auburn's looking really good. I mean, that's gonna be a tough game. That's gonna be tough taking Auburn down this year if we're playing as inconsistently as we've played through 10 games this year. I mean, I'm not a big Johnny Broom fan, but he is 28 and averaging like 25 and 20 this year. So.
Yeah.
Most grown men, when they play against college kids, do that. But
yeah, he needs to hang them up. But the SEC in general is just a gauntlet right now. I mean, it's a bloodbath.
Missouri, it has been
horrible last year, but they beat Kansas, so they've shown they can beat just about anybody. We'll see how it translates, but
it's going to be a tough road to hoe in the SEC basketball this year. It's going to be a lot like football. Now that football has no divisions, you're just a bloodbath, a meat grinder, unless you're Texas and don't have to play any of the good teams in your first year in the league. I mean, you played a good team and lost twice.
Yep.
So,
but they beat A&M. That's all that matters.
When they had to, all we had to do was beat a 500 team, and we're in that game. But
two of them.
Vanderbilt, doesn't upset me as much like Oklahoma does, just because
I agree.
The QB 100%. Play for Vanderbilt and the fact that they did beat a couple of teams and we're in a couple of games this year. Oklahoma, two quarterbacks, both of them were terrible. Of course, now Auburn's touting Jackson Arnold as the greatest thing ever.
I wonder why they're
calling their quarterback room the greatest quarterback room ever because they have two high school 5-stars in there. Of course, neither one of them can play, but it's nice to know that Auburn hires coaches and signs portal players based on how they did against Bama or how they perceive they should have done against Bama.
You know what's crazy too is as soon as I saw he entered, had no idea where he was going to go. I saw the Mississippi State thing after a while, and I was like, that makes sense too. But right away, I was like, I bet you Auburn is all over this.
Deep down,
sure
you knew.
The next day, it's like Auburn showing interest in Jackson Arnold. It's like
now it's like 2 5-star QBs in the room now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this dude, Jackson Arnold is not any good.
No.
Now he might be in Hughes' system, maybe, but he got benched this year for a guy that can't throw. And then against Alabama, all he did was jog for 120 yards. He threw for 50 yards in that game. I mean, all he did was roll out to the right and casually jog 10, 12 yards every play. And we made zero adjustments to defend that. We did nothing different defensively in 4 quarters to defend that, and it showed.
It was honestly just Vanderbilt's game plan. They ran stupid little options. They didn't have a single receiver that was healthy. I mean, it was probably simpler and more watered down than Vanderbilt's.
Quarterback bootlegs. And our defensive philosophy had no answer for a slow quarterback running bootlegs. Zero answer.
Yeah, even in the moment, I wasn't really – I mean, of course, you're upset about the Vandy loss, but whenever I think about Oklahoma, it's still my blood boils just thinking about it.
Because of everything that was on the line in that game and how nobody came to play. Nobody, the coaches, the players.
There was no urgency. It was like, does anybody care? Let's just end it right now. This is like, Milroe just looked more annoyed than upset. You know, It's like, oh my gosh.
The tackle effort on the pick, that's all you need to know about what they thought about that game. But that whole effort of that game was just pathetic. I mean, that was a fireable offense for people. I thought maybe not in the moment, but I thought that game should have told several that, okay, I got to make some staff adjustments.
I know.
And honest to God, I don't know how much longer Roach is going to be around. I mean, when was the last impactful defensive lineman we had? Quinnen Williams?
True game wrecker, yeah. I mean, they've been better than they were, but they're not.
Do you see anything from the defensive line where you're like, these guys are tough?
A lot of it's scheme, I think, personally. I think it's tough with current scheme.
I mean, running 3 down linemen in the SEC is not going to work ever.
Not if you don't help
under any circumstance.
I mean, they need
with no help.
Even Q, I know Darius Robinson had a pretty good year, but it even makes it tough when you don't have like an elite edge rusher to help him out if you're not super stout up front. If you want to be a top tier team in the SEC, you need that.
Yeah. I feel like Golding got a lot of heat.
Williams and all that, but
yeah. I feel like Pete Golding got a lot of heat for some of the struggles on defense, but honestly, we haven't had a defensive line dominate in a while. And Roach has been there for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean,
even our
secondary,
Roach. I mean, they struggled throughout the defense. I thought the linebackers stood out, but Devontae Smith, good for him. I'm sure Notre Dame will develop him into a decent safety, decent NFL prospect. I was not impressed with him this year at all.
He made a couple of flash plays. Yeah, he wasn't great in coverage. I liked his physicality. I liked that he came up and tackled. Mm-hmm. But, you got to do more than that as a DB than just run up and tackle, which is why, I thought Mbakwe was out of position because he was not physical, nor was he very good at cornerback, at coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't figure out why we were continuing to, waste him at that position. But, now everybody's going to want the Travis Hunter deal. Every DB and wide receiver in the portal or in signing day class is going to think they can play both. And they're going to demand it, and when they don't get it, they're going to leave. You can see this writing on the wall. Like Travis Hunter, as good as he was this year, as special as he was this year, he's going to ruin it for everybody because everybody now is going to think they can do both. And it's unfortunate.
He's different. People need to realize that. He is different.
Thank you. He's a special
player. These guys have played both ways.
Bingo.
1 million of these guys have played both ways in high school.
Almost
because
all
they're the best athlete on the field.
Right? You watch a high school game, some guys never come off the field. Right? Yes. Some guys are even doing kickoffs. You see your starting linebacker kicking off because they don't got anybody else to have a kicker.
I mean, Travis Hunter was so rare that, he went to Jackson State. He could have played anywhere in the country. Still not sure why I did that. It was Dion. I know why I did it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like, I don't think people realize that this guy, after his freshman year, probably could have went to the draft.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Serious first-round pick. It's like, it's just so unattainable for so many guys. Kids need to realize that.
Do you think he plays both in the NFL? Or?
No, I'd be shocked.
He might get in
magnitude, I'll say.
Yeah. They might have some plays for him in the NFL, whichever position he focuses on, which I think will be DB. I think he'll be a
100%.
DB in the NFL, and then they'll throw some packages for him on offense. But it would be hard to be in the NFL as a full-time DB and also a full-time receiver. I don't see how, even as good as he is, there's so much you have to learn and study in the NFL.
Yeah, because didn't even Dion eventually pick one or the other towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end he stuck with defense, but for the Cowboys, they had several packages where he would play receiver and punt returner, etc., just to get the ball in his hands. But those players are rare, and unfortunately, a lot of guys, like we said, Fonzie, are going to think that they can do it because they did it in high school. But like you said, you can guarantee that if you played receiver in high school, you were also a cornerback, and vice versa. You played both.
Unless you're playing at like the big time, like IMG type schools,
and they've got depth. But most of these high school games you watch, the best player never comes off the field.
What, IMG Academy? Is that what it is?
Yeah, IMG.
But they're like 3 deep at every position.
I mean, they're made for these kids to go and develop into top tier prospects. It's what they are.
Yeah.
They live and breathe football or volleyball or baseball or basketball or whatever sport they're there for. But one thing I think I mentioned earlier, one thing I'm excited about with Alabama is I think they're creating an identity for what sort of team they're trying to build and what sort of prospects appeal to them. One thing DeBoer had at Washington was big physical wide receivers that would force themselves open with their size. Or they'll always be open because of their size and the mismatches and stuff. And I think he's done that really well. He's brought in some bigger receivers. Odom is a good example. Unfortunately, he's transferred, but he has Derek Meadows. This Miami kid is big. I mean, even a cornerback in the secondary. He's brought in physical guys that are good in press coverage and are just strong, big kids. McDonald and Lee are the two guys that are coming in this next class at corner. I think Lee might, transition to safety, but I'm excited for those two. I think they're both guys that can contribute next year, especially considering Mbakwe leaving. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited. I agree. I'm excited for years 2 and 3, especially year 3. Well, it will be. This is DeBoer's team. This is his players. This is his staff. He's not inheriting anything. Granted, he didn't inherit anything bad, but he can put his stamp on it.
I guess that's why the Odom thing surprised me. Once Bach said business decision, everybody knows that, he was just sitting back waiting for the best offer. But the Odom thing is what gets me because, I mean, he's like the prototypical DeBoer receiver, big physical, can high point the ball, can catch. And it's like you just have to wait a year. And so DeBoer could get his people in and get his quarterback in and actually open up the playbook to use more of it and to have a quarterback that can throw. And I guess he just didn't trust in it, didn't believe in any of the quarterbacks there or Keelan Russell. Or somebody gave him a bag from somewhere.
It is kind of weird. I mean, honestly, he probably deserved – I don't know how he did in practice and all that. He probably deserved to get some snaps, though, just considering how kind of weak our wide receiver room this year was.
Exactly.
Behind Bernard and Williams. But at the same time, I don't know if he was really ready either. I mean, it takes time to adjust. He's playing a new position. He's a tight end. I'm sure in high school.
Why would you just
probably just
maybe he wants to go back to tight end? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's a transition and he didn't give it time, so
yeah. That one caught me off guard.
But
no, there's no time. There's no such thing as developing anymore. That's out the window.
Yep.
I mean, Q Robinson might be about the last of that. A 5-year guy at one school waiting his turn. I mean, even if you give guys their turn, they're still portaling.
Seriously, though. I mean
you can't keep him.
Smith.
I mean, he started every game. Gone. I'm out of here. What? I mean, Trey Amos was going to be a starter this year on a team with nothing but freshman DBs. He said, I'm out of here. See ya.
Money talks.
I mean, Mbakwe, Gump certified all the way. Got his own podcast with Bama. They built him a studio. Just sold an action figure. A 7-figure offer, you said? I'm out of here. See ya. Business decision. Yep, that's what I'm going to call it. Business decision.
Do y'all think in a way, if it hasn't happened already, that it will almost affect the NFL with these players that aren't really developing the way they should? And seeing a lot of these.
You will start to see the product in the NFL suffer.
I think it's already started, to be honest.
I think so too. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I agree. But I just, it seems small right now, but I feel like even with this upcoming draft class, it's not really, knocking your socks off.
It's just, I was talking to some of my other buddies last week about this, and it's college, like especially at these big time programs, these players are freak athletes. They go to college, they develop a little bit, but they really physically develop. And then there's some of that football growth as well. But typically they're just really, really good players that take those few years to get into NFL shape. Develop not marginally, but just a little bit as a player. And then the NFL, they go in and they really develop quickly and then make that jump. But I think
agreed.
The quality of those prospects is just going to decline so much that they'll never be able to develop to that level they need to in the NFL. Even though most of the time it's pretty marginal. Like Harold Perkins, for example, came in and was just instantly a stud. He's had some injuries and stuff. That's probably a poor example, but there's guys every year there. Ryan Williams, we'll use as an example this year, and he may be an exception to the rule, but he came in and just started right away. He's that good. He had one camp, a month of practice before the season, and he was one of the best wide receivers in the league. But is he just going to plateau? His numbers might look better. In the current format, he might. He may put on 10 pounds, have an NFL body, but, he still needs to develop. What I'm trying to say is those guys still need to develop in college to make that transition easier, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
And guys aren't doing it right now. They're just taking the easy way out, and
they don't want to work.
Not working
because they're getting money now. They're getting all the money now. So nobody's got the drive to strive to get there, to get that generational wealth or to take care of their mom. They get it now. It's all now. Everything's now. Give me it now. Give me everything now up front now. It's all now. Got to have it all now. Yeah. And you're seeing and then when they get to the NFL, they're not in the mindset of grinding to earn their spot. They get to the NFL and they're like, well, where's my starting spot? Well, you haven't earned it yet. I don't have to earn anything.
Well, NFL, though, it feels like the window's very short. The message can turn on you very quick, especially at a big position like a quarterback, where if you're not turning around a garbage franchise, you're the problem,
That's another gripe I have, though, is because ever since Patrick Mahomes, it was like this with Brady, too, but ever since Patrick Mahomes came into the league, every single team is trying to find their Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to skin a cat. There's different ways to win in the NFL. The Chiefs are very good, but they've been beatable every single year. They've won the Super Bowl. I just wish teams would stop trying to mimic the Chiefs formula. It's never going to happen. They wouldn't have a Super Bowl without their defenses.
Bingo.
Thank you. Stop trying to get a generational quarterback. Get a game manager, run an efficient offense, build a defense, and build a line. It's all you need to do, and you will be a good NFL team.
This may be a crazy take, considering the position Mahomes plays, but if you watch them and are honest with yourself, Chris Jones is way more valuable to that team than Patrick Mahomes is.
Creed Humphrey is right up there too. I mean, really their interior line and, Jawan Taylor and Orlando Brown for a while. I know he's not there anymore, but my God. I mean, he had an anchor from the start in front of him, and that has been huge
the best
for him.
Play caller in football, I think. And he had Chris Jones on the defensive line, wrecking games. Chris Jones wrecked that Super Bowl last year, and he destroyed the Niners almost single-handedly in that Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, isn't Chris Jones for his position like the highest paid in the league?
I believe so, because he held out last year, missed a couple games, and then they locked him up. But that guy is a bad son of a bee.
Yeah,
he is.
That's a bad dude, and as you know, and TJ can be that guy for the Steelers. I wish they would kind of shift him around some, not just always have him blitzing from the right tackle. I wish they would kind of move him around a little bit, maybe stun him a few times just to kind of mix it up. You know, the Browns move Myles Garrett all over the place. Mm-hmm. Although if
they do,
if I'm the Browns playing the Steelers, I'm putting him over Dan Moore every play, and I'm gonna win 6 out of those 10 plays if I'm the Browns. Because Dan Moore
pretty
is
much
awful. He is.
I mean, that's
awful.
Steelers didn't help him. Especially in that first
but
game.
you know what's funny is we've drafted like 3 linemen in the first round the last 3 years because Dan Moore's so bad, and none of them can beat him out.
They can't. Roderick Jones has looked pretty damn good the last few weeks, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was his left when they drafted him that night. I was like, well, there's a left tackle. That's why they took him 14th.
And Troy's hurt. That doesn't help.
That doesn't help either. But it's like no matter what, that Dan Moore is left tackle. I just can't roll off of him. I mean, Broderick Jones never played right tackle, and Tomlin goes, "We're putting him at right tackle." Well, he's never played there. I don't care. What?
Yeah,
you drafted him to be a left tackle. No. We're going to sit him for half of the year and then put him at right tackle. Wait, what? What? I don't know.
It's questionable. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
you know, they're in that room.
Right tackle in Georgia for like 2 games.
Yeah,
when he was young. But it's like
Tomlin did hire the worst offensive line coach in football 2 years ago, of the worst rated offensive line of the worst team in the league. Tomlin hired him to coach the offensive line. So, you know, I don't know. It's like we have talent there. We've got solid. Zach Frazier is going to be a decade center for the next 10 years.
Mason McCormick looks like he could be.
Looks very good.
I mean.
And we don't even know what Trey, because he got hurt. So we got guys up there. But I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know if it's Najee can't hit a hole or what, but we just cannot run the football with any consistency at all. I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson is getting handoffs yesterday.
Well, that's the problem. I actually think our run game's been significantly better ever since Russ took over.
Now, I'll agree with that. It has. Najee has looked light years better since Russ took over.
He's had some flashes from what I've seen from the Steelers game.
But the Steelers consistently on first down waste a down with a toss sweep to Najee, who gets maybe a yard if he's lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Or last night, he fumbled the ball as we were going in to tie the game. And that was the end of it. Philly went right down the field and scored, and then we punted on the next possession on their side of the field, and then we never got the ball again.
Nope.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, we just can't seem to, run the ball when we need to. Late in games with a lead, we can't milk the clock out because we're just pounding in the middle and get stoned. And then all the Najee sucks chants are out, and so they start tossing to Jalen Warren, who's a good complimentary back, but they're going to go James Conner with him next year. They're not going to re-sign Najee, and they're going to say Jalen Warren's the featured back, just like they did with Conner, and it was a terrible decision. Conner couldn't stay on the field, and now he's lighting it up for Arizona as a complimentary back, like he did well for the Steelers. O'Connor was the backup to Le'Veon, but he was a perfect complimentary back. He was great. And then they got rid of Le'Veon and made Connor the feature back, and he couldn't last half a season both years, and they got rid of him, and now he goes to Arizona, and he's really good.
He's doing great, yeah.
He had that one. His first year he was pretty good. He got hurt though.
Yeah.
And then kind of after that he was fine, but just
he wasn't a feature
not dynamic.
He wasn't a dynamic feature running back. He's a good complimentary back, I thought. Thought he and Le'Veon were a perfect 1-2 running back punch.
I think they should bring back Najee, to be honest. I mean,
another asinine move. Why would you decline that option? Because now if you re-sign him, you're not going to get him that cheap.
Nope.
They're not going to get him for $7 million. They're not going to get a 4-time 1,000-yard running back for $7 million like they would have got Najee next year for $7 million. I have no idea what the hell they were thinking there. No clue. Other than Jaylen Warren's going to be our feature guy next year. Because every now and then he gets a 10-yard run after, we've pounded Najee into the dirt 6 times. They toss it to Warren, he gets 6 yards, and everybody's like, "That's the guy." See the difference?
Bring him back for 3 years.
Agreed.
Honestly, like $8 million.
100% agree. 100% agree.
He's that's perfect a lot for a running back, but he's earned it. He's durable. That's the big thing, is he's durable. You can hand him the ball 20 times a game, and he's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And everyone uses the word inefficient for him. I don't think he's that inefficient. When he has good blocking, he hits his holes. He's not going to house it. But that's not the type of running back he is in the NFL.
But he's never been that guy.
He'll turn the clock. I mean, look at the difference this year versus last year. Our offense, save for Sunday, they've had their moments where they've been bad. But they're winning games because we're eating clock and we're letting the defense shine. That's how this team is built.
Yes.
Najee is the perfect running back for that.
I can't believe they declined his option. I know it was a cost move, but I have no idea what they were thinking. Like, they're not going to get a running back for $7 million that's going to be a workhorse like this.
Nope.
So I don't know. They had their reasons, whatever they are. I'm not privy to, but I just thought that was an odd move considering you're going to cost you more if you bring him back than 7. So I'm not a GM. I don't know.
Next year.
The space.
But they need to sign
I'll be curious to see what they do with that quarterback room next year. They should re-sign Russ, not for $50 million a year, but they should work out some deal with maybe a 2-year deal with him.
I think it's probably me just being, I don't know, naive, but I think Russ would probably sign for like 20, 25 mil to come back. I think he likes it here. I think he understands a situation where he's not really due for one more big contract. Kirk Cousins signed with a desperate team that really needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Russ has established himself as a starter for a team that he wants to play for. I really think he'll take a pay cut to be the starter just for 2 years.
I think you're right. There's something about him in Pittsburgh.
Falcons with Kirk Cousins.
And I have no idea why people continue to give Kirk Cousins all this guaranteed money. He's never won jack shack. He's been terrible in clutch moments. Playoffs, he's been awful. I have no idea why the Falcons did that and then drafted Penix.
They were going to throw first time since week 9. All right, the streak is over.
That's crazy.
That's insanity to me. And he's been awful. Cousins has been terrible the last 6 games.
Yeah,
just about.
I mean, he's
drafting Michael Penix doesn't sound too bad. Huh?
Just awful. And if the division wasn't so crappy, the Falcons would have pulled the plug by now. But they're 6-7 and still have a shot at the division, so they can't yank him now.
The Panthers just now got eliminated from the playoffs. Tells you how freaking bad our division is. It is such a joke. Division.
They're 3-10 and got officially eliminated in week 15.
Dude, and that's what's crazy. Like, as soon as one of these teams figures it out, the Buccaneers are probably the closest to it. Like, it's yours for the taking, because nobody else is going to freaking step up to the plate, apparently.
Well, the Bucs really got screwed because that division's so bad, so they won it last year.
Yeah.
And their schedule is just a gauntlet.
Like 9-8.
They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're great. They're a typical kind of team right on the outside that's pushing for that last spot that may get in, may not.
Yeah.
They're just riding it out. I mean, they're the best team in that division by far, I'd say right now. And it's like
Tampa's like that team that they're not that good, but you don't want to see them in the playoff because they got Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield, and you just never know if those guys could put together a 3-game stretch.
Good too. Their running backs are really good.
And then
Irving's really good.
Those teams like that, you just never know when you hit the playoffs. You just never know when they. I mean, more than likely they get beat in the first game, but you just never know if you got a quarterback and a receiver like that. Like you said, and they can run the ball. Playoffs are just a different. Playoffs are just up in the air. Yep. So weird.
Man.
Especially the Chiefs.
Who'd they almost beat last year then? Was it the Lions?
Yes.
Yeah, it was the Lions, yeah.
And they beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they destroyed
beat them bad.
Eagles.
They slaughtered the Eagle. I wasn't even close.
So.
Of course, the Eagles had lost like 7 in a row at that point. I think that was their 7th loss in a row or 7th out of 8 or something.
I kind of forgot about their little collapse.
They were soaking the drain. That ain't happening this year, though. They ain't fooling around this year.
You still got the drama, but they're still winning games, apparently. So.
But Saquon has turned that offense into a different animal.
It blows my mind that the New York's Giants GM still has a job.
God,
what a God.
I don't even know what to say. They're just
Hard Knocks
train wreck.
Only gets funnier as the weeks go on too, with the NFL or the Giants owner being like, "Are we sure we want to do this?"
Man, Dable is going to pay for it with his job, even though it's not really his fault. I don't think. I mean, not many coaches are going to win with Tommy DeVito as your quarterback.
Tommy Cutlets.
Or Drew Lock or Tim Boyle. Like, how bad is Drew Lock that Tim Boyle is brought in to play over you?
And then Drew Lock pitched a hissy fit. It's like, I don't know why I got the job. Like, because you suck. It's like he laid an egg on Thanksgiving. That's why he didn't get the job.
Just shut up and take your check. Like, don't give him reason to cut you. Don't have him go, you know what, you're right, and then call you in and cut you the next day.
Yeah.
Just keep quiet.
Meanwhile, the Vikings are screwing around with Sam Darnold. Looking really good.
I know. At some point, Sam Darnold's going to remember he's Sam Darnold. I keep waiting for it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Daniel Jones is sitting there in Minnesota. So,
hey,
I don't know. I feel bad for him though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't given.
He never should have been taken that high. So he's fighting an uphill battle.
Right away. Yeah.
Like you said, exactly. Behind the 8 ball right away because everybody couldn't believe he got taken that high. So he had never had a shot. And then they gave him crap around him and a train wreck of an organization. And, you know, I mean, look at Sam Darnold. He was terrible for years, and he got with a stable organization with some good players around him, and he looks like an NFL quarterback this year.
Yep.
I mean, you know, is he the best in the league? No, but he's not a turnover machine like he was. He's got good stats. The Vikings are in first place or second place behind Detroit.
He can air it out.
He can. I mean, he can throw it. So
it's back to Scott's point. It's like, stop chasing this Patrick Mahomes dream. You know, you got to develop a team. It's not one player on the field. You know, it's the lesson the Bears can never learn. It's this, you know, push the boulder up the mountain.
Well, and outside of Mahomes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, you probably know this. Has there been any team win a Super Bowl with a quarterback making $60 million a year? Or $50 million a year, besides the Chiefs?
I don't even think the Chiefs have done it, right?
I mean, whatever Mahomes is making, $450 over 10 years, whatever it was.
But when did that contract? Do you know when he signed that contract?
I thought it was 2 years ago or a year ago. I think they won last year on his new deal.
But his is low. Like his isn't. It's still astronomical. Yeah, but his isn't like the top of the market anymore.
Like a team-friendly deal. Like Dak Prescott getting $75 million a year. He guy's 2-6 in the playoffs. Like, what are we doing?
Like, it's crazy because Mahomes, he signed for long term. I mean, they signed him for 10 years. I think that's
or 12, whatever it was. It was a double-digit.
But still, he's like kind of at the market rate for a franchise quarterback. There's guys above him. There's guys a little bit below him, but he's not like way up here. But no, I don't think so. I mean,
Herbert signed that big deal. They can't even make the playoffs. Burrow signed the big deal. They got to the Super Bowl and lost.
That was during his rookie contract. I mean,
yeah, I'd say I don't think he even had the deal yet.
The Niners with Brock Purdy, rookie contract.
I mean, is Purdy about to get $50 million a year for being the most average quarterback ever?
Probably.
I mean, they didn't have Ayuk, McCaffrey, and a healthy Debo all year, and Brock Purdy looked like the last pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to have weapons around you. And since I took McCaffrey with my number one pick in fantasy, and he had all of 200 total yards for the whole season, no touchdowns, there's a reason Purdy had his worst statistical year and looked like the last pick of the draft this year. That's what happens. I mean, I guess we lost Pickens, and you saw what the effect it had on us. No, I was saying we lost Pickens, and you saw how it affected us. Like, we look like the Matt Canada years.
Yeah.
Just missing that one player to stretch the field. And we look like the first half, you wouldn't guess we'd ever practiced all week. If you watched that first half, you would have thought, these guys even practice this week? Like, what do they do all week? But when you lose your best receiver, it makes a big difference. When you lose weapons, it makes a difference. So I'd be hesitant to give Brock Purdy $60 million or $50 million, the going rate for your QB1s now.
What can you do is my question too. I mean,
can't do anything.
It's very evident that the hit rate on quarterbacks that are drafted is pretty low. I'm not suggesting the 49ers are necessarily lucky. I think they saw a guy that could be a competent backup and got him, and he ended up
and their lottery
well and excelling in that offense around a very good team.
Yeah. And they punted their number 3 pick that they traded years worth of draft picks to move up to 3 and then punted him in year 2.
Yeah. What's crazy too is, again, Trey Lance should have never been drafted there. But
right. Thank you.
Back to the Super Bowl thing. So the Rams won with Stafford. $40 million.
Okay.
Outside of Mahomes, I think that's it.
And that was the year the Rams sold out for the Super Bowl, and now they don't have any draft picks, and they're cap strapped and all this stuff. In the aftermath, it was all worth it to get that ring, to get that one ring, even if you're followed by 6 years of hell, salary cap hell, and whatnot. It
That's
works.
the only one.
Yeah,
I mean, Hurts was on a rookie contract. The trend seems to be, if you want to get to the Super Bowl, draft a really good quarterback.
You've got to do it in their rookie window.
Rookie contract.
That's your window.
Yep.
Is 4 years. Unless you draft Kenny Pickett in the first round, then the window never opens.
You're just throwing that out. Yeah.
Then you're just setting yourself back 3 years because you just wasted a first round pick.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh man, that'll never get old. So yeah, man, we were an hour and a half tonight. Get on some tell we hadn't met in a while, man. We had to catch up on some stuff. Didn't even touch the fact that Juan Soto signed a $765 million contract.
No, I thought it was $800 million. Right?
Well, it will be once they hit once all the riders and the bonuses are added. It'll be at 800.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's just insanity to me. As good of a player as he is, he's a generational player. And make no mistake, I loved watching him play for the Yankees this year. But I'm not going to lie, I was relieved when he picked the Mets because I did not want the Yankees to get into a 15-year deal for $760 million over the next 15 years to be on the hook for that. Like this was a blessing in disguise. Now the Yankees can get pitching, which they already did. They got Max Fried. They got Devin Williams, the closer. They're already making moves now to build a team around and not sink $800 million into a right fielder who's going to be a DH in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But, oh, wait, you have Aaron Judge who's going to be DH 2 years before that. So, I thought it was a addition by subtraction by the Yankees not coming off that much money.
I agree.
He's going to be a DH in 5 years.
Money's sort of an object for the Yankees, but
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was a mistake
Thankfully.
for the Mets.
Yes.
Probably won't hurt them, but just the value proposition alone, there's just no way he's ever going. Even if he has the best offensive seasons ever, it's improbable that he'll ever hit the value of that contract if he's not playing the field.
You almost can't, and he's not going to play the field for not less than half of that contract. He's going to be in the outfield for 4 years tops, I think, before they cycle him over to DH. But I mean, it's just insanity. And Steve Cohen's like worth like $50 billion with a B.
Yeah.
So they're like, you're going to go over the luxury threshold, and he's like, I don't care, go over it tenfold. I mean, I don't care how much. I don't care. That's why he came out and said, I'll match and up whatever offer he gets. Don't even know what it is, but I'll up it by $50 million.
I mean, he got fined like $2 billion for insider trading, didn't he?
Yes.
I mean, the dude's like,
It didn't even chip.
care.
It didn't even take a chip out of his wealth. $2 billion.
Yeah,
It didn't even notice it.
Money, like.
Except he didn't have a
There's someone
translator.
that was going to do it. It was going to be him.
He didn't have a translator that he could throw under the bus to take the fall for him.
Yeah.
But so he just said, "Oh well." He said, "I don't care. What's the fine? $2 billion? That's fine."
Yeah, whatever.
The,
I'll just
the
insider
fine was
trade
probably,
on something else tomorrow.
Yeah, the fine was probably $1 billion. He said, "I'd give him $2 billion. I don't care."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Stay
tired
off
of thinking
my
about
back.
this.
Here's
Just give him $2 billion.
more.
Yeah, interest too. Yeah, just give him $2 billion. That should leave him alone. And sure enough. So anyway, but yeah, that's where we are, man. Next time we meet, I'm not sure what the team will look like in terms of Alabama. Hope we have a team we can field a roster with for the bowl game.
Would be nice.
I don't know when these transfers that we're hosting will announce or decide or whatever. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see.
You will.
So anyway, well, if you guys got anything else you want to add before we sign off, it's good being back with you guys. I know it's been a few weeks, had some life events take place, and Parker was in marriage counseling, so had to let him get clear of that. I had some family things going on that kept me down for a few weeks, but I think we're ready to get back into some regularly scheduled programming for Lucky.
Time for Bama basketball.
Right in time for Bama hoops, man. So I'm with you there.
It's in full effect.
Full effect. We got to
my
start
full
getting
attention
some
now.
consistently. Yeah, we got to get some consistency on the basketball court. I think once league games start, you'll separate the men from the boys. That's usually what happens. A lot of teams start SEC play 12-1, 11-1, and then wind up 15-16, or something like that. SEC
Playing 2 games a week too. Not any.
I mean,
of
that's
this,
a grind. That's a grind.
Not this junk where it's 1 game every 10 days.
Yeah.
I don't think that helps.
Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, like
Yep.
clockwork.
Yep.
Might get a week off in there. But anyway, so all right, guys, good chat, good show. Enjoyed the catching up. Sorry, my computer's doing weird stuff. Like I said, can't run one active window apparently. But who's counting? But anyway, so we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have a basketball win or 2 under our belts when we reconvene, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, boys. Well, roll Tide forever, and we'll catch y'all next week.